Let's talk about watercolor painting. There are a lot of different ways that you can use watercolor paint, and here are a few advanced techniques for using the paint and getting different results. First, remember it is watercolor, so you need to add a lot of water to your brush in order to activate the paint. This first technique is simple. You add wet paint from your brush onto dry paper. The paint is going to stay exactly where you want it to stay. Wet paint on dry paper stays put. What if you want your paint to blend a little bit or move around? Wet paint on wet paper is going to move. You can wet the paper with just plain water, or you can use an under layer of wet paint. That will also create blending effects. You need a few extra materials for the next step. We need a little plain table salt, we need a small piece of plastic wrap, and a small piece of bubble wrap. Don't pop the bubbles though. When you press these items or sprinkle the salt onto the wet paint, you're going to create some different effects. If you take a small piece of plastic wrap and crinkle it up in your hands, and then press that into the wet paint, you're going to see some interesting results. It almost makes it look like a crackle effect. You do need to have a lot of paint on the paper, and it does need to be very wet. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little salt into the top section. You can see right away where the salt starts to absorb some of that paint water and you get a dark spot. In the last section, I'm going to place a piece of bubble wrap on top of the wet paint. The bubble wrap will push the paint around and you're going to get dark circles instead of the crackle effect from the plastic wrap. For both of the plastic wrap and bubble wrap steps, you have to wait till the paint is completely dry before you remove it to get the full effect. Now how about a quick review? Remember, wet paint on dry paper stays. Wet paint on wet paper moves. The last trick is a simple one we brought from elementary. Wax resist. We're just going to use a regular white crayon. You could use any color crayon, really. The crayon wax will keep the paint from sticking to the paper. That's where the resist comes from. Make sure to use a combination of these techniques for your watercolor painting.